Pulkit, the question is that you cannot ask anything. Okay, so let me do one thing. Basically, I'm giving you all unmute permission. So just try to just unmute yourself if you have any question, but just keep it mute, okay, so that there will be no search or background noise and all. Okay, basically, I have given you all unmute permission, so you can unmute at your end on your own, but just ensure that do unmute when you have a specific question or when you have to ask question only. All right, guys, so let's get started. Okay, so a quick introduction about myself. My name is Amit Gupta and I'm working as a senior performance engineer, having 6+ years of experience in core performance testing and engineering area. And basically currently I'm working in Noida NCR area in a product-based company. Okay, so apart from JMeter, I have expertise in other performance testing tool and profiling tools as well. Okay, so with this, let's get started with today's session. Basically, this is going to be a demo session in which we will be talking about few of the topics, which will cover a overview of performance testing and JMeter. So these are the points that I have listed down that what we are going to cover in today's session. Basically a quick installation. I think most of you guys have already done this, but I will go through a quick installation part as well. That will not take much of time. A quick GUI overview, and we'll talk about the course, what exactly we are going to cover throughout this course, and you will find what things we are going to have throughout this course, so that you can just make a sense that how much benefit that this course is going to provide to you. Okay, we have a course content as well, so we'll go through a quick course content overview, that what exactly in depth we are going to cover throughout this course. And one more point, that this course is going to be a more practical approach. Basically we will try to cover most of the things in a practical manner, having a live practical session throughout this course. Okay, so these are the things that we have listed down, but let's get started with the first point, which is basically going to be a JMeter installation and setup. Do remember that being a demo session, it will not be quite enough to cover all the aspects of JMeter and all the areas of JMeter, which we will be covering throughout this entire course. So might be that there are some topics that is not covered, might not be covered in this demo session, but it's your responsibility that if you have any specific question which you want to ask, so it's just to raise your question either through the chat box or through that directly having a talk to me. Okay, so first let's get started with the quick installation. So before installing JMeter, you only one thing you need is to have Java installed in your system. It doesn't matter what platform you are using, Windows, Mac or Linux. The only thing that you need is the Java up and running in your system. And I believe that most of you guys already have Java up and running. If you do not have Java up and running in your system, it's another topic, and I will not invest in that area, time in that area. So just to try to keep Java up and running in your system. If you have Java up and running, then simply go download and install JMeter. What you can do, simply in Google you can type download JMeter. So this is the official website, jmeter.apache.org. Just open it. Okay, so there we have latest version of JMeter, which is 5.3, which requires Java 8. So if you have Java 8, you can use the latest version. If you do not have, I would recommend that go for the Java 8 plus. Now here you need to download binaries. Running on Windows, you can simply download the zip file, which is the 5.3.zip. Okay, so once you download it, let it download, but I will not wait this download to complete because I have already downloaded this. If you want to just run this Apache JMeter on Linux or on Mac system, you can go for the TZZ compression. That doesn't matter. You can either download any of this. Okay, so let's assume that this download is completed and I have just downloaded that zip folder, and I have extracted that. Okay, seems like I have JMeter folder here, Apache JMeter 5.3, but this includes other setups as well. So how long it's going to take? About a minute. 5.3. Okay, so let me do one thing. Just assume that you have downloaded your JMeter. Once you download, just extract at any path. Doesn't matter at what path you extract it. In my case, I have extracted that into my D drive others, Apache JMeter 5.3. So once you extract that, get into that folder. Okay, inside that folder, get into bin, and running on Windows, you need to simply double click on jmeter.bat. Okay, if you are on Linux or on Mac, you can do the same thing by going through the terminal, get at this path through terminal, and just use jmeter.sh. Okay, so execute this file or by through the terminal by doing just /jmeter.sh. Okay, so the same thing if you do on Windows, basically double click on jmeter.bat. And I believe that my download is already completed, but doesn't matter. The one which I have downloaded 5.3, I have a similar version 5.3 already downloaded. Okay, so this is what the JMeter looks like. Initially, once you download the JMeter, this will give you a simple UI kind of thing, which basically contains not any preloaded contents. If you are aware about other tools like NewLoad or load runner, so there are preloaded elements or preloaded contents are already there. But once you launch JMeter, you will find basically nothing preloaded, any item. Okay, so it's the thing that you need to know that before starting with JMeter, basically what are the things required and what things you need to add. Okay, that I'm going to cover throughout this session, that you will get an idea about that, what exactly things we need to basically add in order to create our very first test plan. Okay, I think I have a hand raised, Amit Kumar Sharma. Yes, please. If you have any question. Okay, might be. Okay, so this is what JMeter basically looks like. Now let's talk about GUI overview. So this is what we have. Basically, there are menus, file, edit, search, and run options, and few already as a shortcut. We have this run button, run no pause, and a test plan which basically contains nothing. There are two panels. Basically, one is the left panel, the one is the right panel. So this area basically is the left panel where we design our test plan, and this right area basically gives you a detail of the things that we have selected in left part. So for just in order to explain more better, I just adding a thread group by right clicking add thread group, and this thread group is selected. So this is the left pane where we have a thread group, and when I just click on this thread group, which is already selected, I get the detail of this thread group. So what this thread group is, the related details of the thread group. Similar thing, if you click on test plan, you will get the related detail of test plan. So here in the left pane, we just build our script. We add elements, required elements for our test plan. And in the right hand side, we get the related details of that element. Okay, so I have a question, basically not a question, but information that seems we are still on mute. So I have already provided you all unmute permission, but not sure why that has happened. Okay, let me do that again. I have again provided you all unmute. Yeah, I see some background audio as well. I just experienced background audio. Amit, do you have any question?
No, thank you.
Okay. All right, so let's talk about the course content. What we are going to cover throughout this course. Basically, we are going to learn about the features and options available in JMeter. So all the things are basically which are required in order to learn performance testing for in relation with JMeter. We are going to cover all those things, basically correlation concept, which is one of the important concept which is required for any scripting for any scripting kind of things, either in JMeter or in Neoload or any other performance testing. So correlation we are going to cover in a detailed manner. Data-driven testing, that we are going to cover what exactly data-driven testing is. In other terms, we call it parameterization. So this is a very fancy term that is used in performance parameterization. So data-driven testing. Obviously, we are going to learn about how to build a script. Basically, if you have a website and you are assigned to do a performance testing for that website, so the first thing that you need to understand, what are the functionality available, and then based on the functionality, basically most used functionality, we're going to build a script. And I believe that most of you guys are Selenium expert, you have the knowledge of Selenium. So like we have a website where we do some validation on the functionalities. So before doing validation, we understand that what exactly flows are, basically what are the steps that we need to cover under Selenium. Once you understand that step, the behavior of those steps, then we just build our Selenium script. We write Selenium script and then we just run those in order to validate that automatically. So the similar concept applies here as well. We have a website which will be running on HTTPS protocol, basically a website that we generally deal with. Okay, so those websites that we are assigned to do performance testing, so we will be going through those websites and understanding the application behavior and identifying steps and then building our script. So learning performance testing with JMeter is basically that covers most of the part which relates to scripting area, that you need to understand the JMeter behavior, that how we are going to record a script, and in order to record a script completely, what are the important things required, like correlation, transaction, understanding threads behavior, understanding listener, and all those things. Okay. I have a question in between. Is it mandatory having knowledge of Java and Selenium? So there is a question from Shivani, that is it mandatory having knowledge of Java and Selenium? Okay, good question. I appreciate. Basically, in order to learn JMeter, Selenium is no more required. So there is no such direct connection of Selenium and JMeter. But there are few options. Basically, if you want to extend the feature of JMeter and you want to use Selenium inside JMeter, that can be done. So I would say that Selenium is no more required unless you need that. But if you know the Selenium, if you have knowledge on Selenium, that Selenium script can be used inside JMeter. Okay. And on the second part, that is Java required, I would say that at a in order to start learning JMeter, Java is not actually required, but in order to achieve expertise in JMeter, like there are a few elements which are called basically pre-processor, which comes under pre and post processor, like JSR 223 elements and bin shell scripting. So in that part, you need a basic understanding on Java, basically loops and variable. So those things that we have already covered in our basically day-to-day uses in software industry. So not at expert level, but if you have a very overview of Java, basic knowledge of Java, you can make better use of JMeter. Okay. So the key points about this course that obviously we are going to explore JMeter, but I would say that unless you know the concept of performance testing, it would not be quite easy for you to understand JMeter or any other performance testing tool, because any performance testing tool, either JMeter or any other tool, those have the options and those have the functionalities that are derived from the performance testing requirement. If I say that there is an element inside JMeter which is called regular expression extractor, okay, so there is no such meaning of regular expression extractor having in JMeter unless you know the problem statement that there is a concept which is called correlation, okay, that you need to extract some tokens from the previous pages, and then those tokens or those IDs are being passed on the next pages. So unless you do that, your script is not going to work, your performance script is not going to work, okay. So that's the problem statement at that, and that derives the need of these correlation concept, and that basically have a element in order to fulfill this requirement, correlation concept. So there is an element called regular expression extractor, okay. So there are a lot of things that we need to correlate, which basically derive from the performance testing concepts, okay. Okay, meanwhile, I have a question that I'm going to attend, which is from Pradeep Srivastav. So is this Java only that can be used for any, that can be used, or any language can be used? Okay, so it's not only Java, there are other language options as well. You can use JavaScript, and if you exactly want to see that what other languages you can use, basically you need just get into post processor, get into JSR 223 post processor, right? So these are the languages available where you can just fulfill your requirement by using Groovy, Java, JavaScript, JEXL, and other languages. So these are the languages in JS and other things that are available you can make use of. It's not only bounded to Java. Okay. Okay, so I was talking about the key things that basically we are going to cover in this course content. So you will notice that there is a testing which is called database testing. So this is the also important thing that we will be covering throughout this course, database testing, how to set up database testing, basically how to create a script in order to do a database testing, and related concepts, that why we are going to have a directly database testing rather than hitting application. So there are things to cover. Again, the most popular that we are going to learn about is scripting, API scripting, how to design basically a test plan for API testing. If you have knowledge on API, that's well. Otherwise, I will give you an overview that what exactly APIs are and how we can design a test plan on API. But do remember that we are not going to deal with the API in a detailed manner, because this is a separate thing, or basically this holds a separate session. All right, so there we have a course content. So these are the key things that we are going to cover, but apart from that, we have a detailed course content, which I believe that you already have, which has been shared to you by Rahul. But if you want just a quick overview, on what things we are going to cover, because as I told, being a demo session, we are not in a position to cover all the aspects that we are going to cover. So this course content will help you more understanding what exactly things we are going to cover. A lot of things is spike testing, different kind of testing, concepts of load generator, understanding application behavior, performance reporting fundamentals, JMeter features like GUI overview, introduction of various elements, running a basic performance test. And on a scripting part, we are going to learn on JMeter BlazeMeter extension, and obviously the inbuilt recorder, which is called a proxy recorder of JMeter as well, and thread group, different kind of thread groups. Samplers we are going to cover in a detailed manner, config elements, a lot of things like cookie manager, header manager, random variables, and all those things. Listener, timers, pre and post processor, JSR2 JSON extractor, regular expression extractor, BinSLN JSR223 as well. In an advanced manner, logic controller. So logic controller can basically comes under intermediate to advanced category of JMeter. So we will go through these controllers as well. I will provide you a use case of using these controller where you can make better use of if loop for each. Okay, so use cases will help you understanding these controllers more easily. Assertions, why we need to use assertions, what are the best content to assert, and a few other things, functions, and overview on JSR223 scripting. Okay, Binsel and JSR223 scripting. Basic understanding, getting and setting variables, understanding scopes, quite enough. DB testing, bit on non-GUI, about reporting, and we are going to enhance, basically expand the features or the capability of JMeter by using plugins, different plugins like Selenium integration, throughput shaping timer, random CSV, and other different plugins available. Again, a bit of advanced performance test plan design, like fixed load scenario, fixed concurrent user scenario, different kind of scenario creations. Well, there is another part in which we are going to learn a bit about BlazeMeter, what exactly BlazeMeter is, and basic free features of BlazeMeter. Okay, so I have a hello from Amit. Yes, Amit, please tell me.
Sir, actually, I am from a learner of automation testing. That's the API.
Okay. Yes.
So please explain me briefly. How can we start then JMeter and basic fundamental?
So you are learning API testing?
Yeah, yes, sir.
Okay, so basically, it's not only bounded that you are learning API testing. So the way I will be starting this course, I will be just giving you an overview of performance testing from very scratch. Doesn't matter you have an idea in performance testing or not. This course will not be just give you a kind of feeling that it's going out of scope. Basically, it's not under your coverage. So I will be starting from a very scratch, including all those things which are required in order to start JMeter. And then we have an API part as well. So it's good that you are learning API testing and you want to just use those API testing skills in order to convert that into performance testing. Basically, in API testing, you might be using POSTMAN or other functional validation testing tool in which you are validating some API behavior, hitting a API, getting the token back, again hitting a get API, getting response back, again from the response and extracting some content, and then using those content in post method, hitting a post API. Okay, again, and just creating something, editing something, updating something, getting something. So all those things can be done inside JMeter. Okay, in Postman, you do that basically manually. You hit that one time, you hit get the response back, and then again you hit do that in a sequential manner. But through JMeter, you can do that in a load manner. Basically, you can generate load on your application. Since we have not introduced about the need of performance testing, so might be you are not at that point of time, you are not aware that why we are going to do that. But in case those APIs require performance testing, you can easily build your performance script using this JMeter tool. So let's quickly talk about the performance testing arise, that why exactly performance testing are needed. Basically, these things are quite repetitive, because these are the very basic things that you already aware of why performance testing is required. But again, a quick performance testing overview, that why performance testing is needed. Okay. So here we have our application. So let's say this is my server or application. For that, I'm doing functional testing, functional validation. Okay, so there is a functionality which is called add to bag. Let's assume that this is a e-commerce website. Okay, so there's a functionality add to bag, which has some latest modification, and you are validating that functionality, that add to bag is working expected or not. So what you will validate, basically, you will search for a product. Once that product appear, that product will be having a add to bag button. Okay, so let's say this is the add to bag button, and once you click on add to bag button, so that product basically will be added to your bag. Okay, so if this is your bag, and this is happening all inside your application, just assume you click on add to bag, and that product is added to your bag. Your functionality validation was successful because the item is added to bag. But the moment you click on add to bag, and this has been added, but you did not notice that how much time it has taken. There was a spinner that was just spinning over the time, and it has taken 5 seconds in order to get that item to bag, or it has taken 10 seconds, or more than that, even a minute. Okay, it took a minute that item to get reflected in your bag. But that doesn't matter to you. Okay, because you were just concerned about the functionality. At the end, that item gets added to your bag, you are happy with the functional validation, and you certify that functionality is working expected. But this is not correct from performance point of view. Okay, if the item is getting, if the item is taking a minute or 10 seconds in order to get that reflecting to bag, that's a quite long time. Okay, and that is not acceptable. Okay, and might be you will not experience this behavior while doing manual testing, or basically validating with a single user. Okay, so there are few other things comes into picture. If you are doing this manually with one user, basically one user, in my main is that you are the single user that using this functionality at that point of time, adding that item to bag, and your system is happy, and there is no such load on the system. Okay, your system health is well, and all the things are in normal condition, and your item is basically reflected to your bag easily. So there might be two things, that you experience that there is a delay of 1 minute, or you might not experience any delay and your item get added to your bag. But if you do this thing on a high load, what that means is, a high load means here you are a single user doing all these things. But if I repeat the add to bag functionality with n number of users, basically there are a lot of users using this functionality add to bag, then at that point of time, how your application is behaving. Earlier, if it was taking 1 second, is it still taking 1 second in order to just serve those functionality to all these users, or it has been degraded to 10 seconds, or even more than that, 1 minute? What happened when there are a lot of users interacting with that functionality? So at that point of time, you will experience the degraded performance of your application. In production, it might happen that there are 100 users or more than some number of users using that functionality, and at the end your application is not able to serve the response. Your application got into error throwing 500 or different error, okay, not serving the page well. So these kinds of problems may arise with your application if those applications are not performance certified and that have gone through QA validation to production. So in order to avoid those situations, delay response time, or basically a failure of application, in order to avoid those situations, we do performance testing and we certify, we validate the basically functionalities and the overall performance of the application by simulating a lot of users, more number of users, and we certify that these are the maximum number of users which your application or the functionality can handle. And all those things, these things, basically hitting that add to bag functionality with a number of users. Just a minute, sorry for the interruption, but I'm getting a background noise. Yeah, thank you, Amit. Okay, so yeah, so all these things we do through the help of any testing tool. Okay, this part basically generating a lot of users and hitting the functionality add to bag. If I say that this has been done automatically through automation, so the Selenium was behind that. Okay, Selenium was doing those things automatically. In the similar way, Selenium, if the Selenium was doing those things, validating add to bag functionality, there was a Selenium script running, either running in any IDE, right? The similar way, if you do that through the help of JMeter, there must be a JMeter script running inside JMeter, right? That JMeter will be looking at the script, and now the JMeter knows that I have to just hit the add to bag functionality, and I have to generate these numbers of users. So all these things are handled with JMeter. Okay, so the JMeter is the tool responsible for generating this load, validating this functionality, capturing the response time, either it has taken 1 minute or 5 seconds or 10 seconds of time, all those things. And this arises the need of performance testing in order to validate your application breakpoint or application behavior under user load, not on single user. I think now it's make more sense to you that how JMeter plays role in order to validate functionality, validate a performance aspect of your application. And this is what the JMeter is, where we will be learning all these things in order to generate load recording script so that you can hit your required functionality, either add to bag or any other functionality or any other page. In order to just hit add to bag, basically you need to log in first. Unless you log in, you can do that, but might be there are different use cases in which you need to require login first in order to add to bag, in order to add bag item to bag. Okay, so all those things can be done through JMeter, but we need some skills in order to do, just simulate those things. That skills are basically scripting skills. Here you will look at building JMeter performance scripts. The similar thing we are going to learn in order to just achieve, in order to certify our application behavior under certain users load. Okay, so I was talking about this. I think, yeah, we are done with this course content, and pretty well that what we are going to learn throughout this course. And just allow me a minute in order to have a question. So there is a question from Sakshi. Okay. The question is that, can you give high level idea what is actually tested in DV testing using JMeter? It's a nice question. Okay, so what we are going to do actually in A/B testing. Yes, good question. So in DB testing, I will give you an overview that why DB testing is actually required. And with a concept, I will set up, or you can say a test plan, set up test plan. So a test plan designing that what are the pre-requirements which are needed at JMeter part. Basically, there are a few drivers and few other things required in order to set up a test plan. Once you are now done with the test plan setup, basically building test plan, we are going to execute queries. What happens at database, basically a DB in picture basically serves the queries, either select queries or insert queries, update queries, and delete queries. So different kind of queries that we are going to execute against DB, and we are not going to randomly execute any queries, but we need to take the idea of the queries, that what are the business critical queries. If I suspect that my add to bag functionality is slow, which gives me an idea about the query running behind the application. And if I have a doubt on my database as well, so I can ask the developer or the concerned team about the queries running at the database and responsible for fetching add to bag items, or responsible for add to bag areas. So I will be getting those queries, and then those queries can be directly executed on database. Then I will be starting with few less load with some users, and then I will be increasing the number of users in order to see the query performance. So that requires a more background, that how you are going to do performance test for database. What are the things that you need to consider? How many load you are going to generate? What are the queries that basically are the business critical queries, and a lot of things. So at a high level, we are going to create a database plan, test plan, understanding the uses, understanding the behavior of your application, and then the database things, and then we are just summarizing all those, including um, different kind of queries, and then running a direct database test. Okay. Okay, so I think there is a question. So Shivendra, this does not mean that you need to learn JRE in order to learn JMeter. Basically, this comes under installation part. In order to install JMeter, there is a pre-requirement that you only need Java JRE or JDK. So basically, if you have JDK, JRE is already there, right? If you do not have JDK, you do not really need JDK, but you can go with the JRE itself. Okay. So, Shiven, there is another question. Is it possible with LoadRunner or other tool where no need to have scripting knowledge? I think definitely no, because any other tool, either LoadRunner or NeoLoad or WebLoad, SoStar, JMeter, they all require scripting knowledge. Unless you have scripting knowledge, you cannot just interact with any tool. Okay, and among these tools, LoadRunner or NeoLoad, I found JMeter is the so simple. JMeter is the quite simple among those, because if you have interacted with JMeter earlier, this gives you a nice graphical user interface where you can have a copy, directly can go for paste, drag and drop things. Okay, again, copy at any hierarchy, paste at any level which are accepted, and this is quite simple. Again, these things are not provided in basically in LoadRunner. If you have just interacted with load runner, there are no such drag and drop and copy paste. So there are no such element kind of thing. All you are provided is a scripting area where you need to write some C script or Java script. Okay, there are more knowledge on scripting required as compared to this JMeter tool. Okay, guys, I'm getting so many questions and it's getting hard to actually answer those questions at runtime, but just looking at the questions quickly, I will pick the one which requires less talking. Can I use JMeter for mobile app as well? Basically, a single app validation which is running standalone on any mobile does not require performance testing. But if that app has an interaction with other server, if you are doing something on app and that interacts with the server behind the app, so that server is a performance candidate, not the app itself which is running inside mobile. Okay, I think this is basically a wide topic to talk on. Okay, we can basically have you can just post your question through email, which is a way to automation, which is jmeter@waytoautomation.com. Okay, so any queries, you can just drop me a mail on this email ID, jmeter@waytoautomation.com. Might be your queries are not answered throughout this session. Okay. So is it required to prepare separate test plan using JMeter for the testing of same application on different operating system? No. Let's say that I have prepared a test plan on my Windows machine. As I told you that JMeter basically runs on Java, and on any machine, either it's on any platform or operating system, either it's Windows or Linux or Mac, that doesn't matter to JMeter. Only thing that you need to running Java on that machine, and this test plan will work without making a bit change on Mac and on Linux as well. Whew. Yes, so there is a question. Basically, there is a clarification from Vav, and the add card functionality is covered by Selenium. Then how this script will add load in JMeter? Okay, so if I get back to this, so this was just an example that how you do things in Selenium, but the similar thing will be done in JMeter as well. So Selenium script has nothing to do with JMeter, right? Selenium script will only work in Selenium, but in order to do that thing in JMeter, you need a JMeter script that we are going to build in a few moments. I'm going to build a script quickly in order to demonstrate that how scripts are built in JMeter in order to validate functionality and basically in order to generate load on that functionality as well. Okay. Okay, so if someone is not having a good knowledge on Java, that is basically not required. As I told you that at a initial level, you do not need any Java knowledge or any scripting knowledge in order to learn JMeter. It's basically at the very beginning, as I told that if you want to achieve a advancement in JMeter, so it's a good, basically a very basic knowledge on Java or any scripting language will help you achieve more. But that will not actually stop you by running performance tests or understanding performance testing or learning JMeter skills. Okay, so can I get the demo recorded version? Yes, this session is being recorded. So at the end of this session, you will be getting a demo, basically a recording of this session as well. Okay, so far I have answered most of the questions, but let's now move to the practical approach by quickly creating a test plan. That how you are going to create a test plan. So what exactly this means is that you are going to create a test plan in JMeter. So basically creating a test plan is something that creating a script in JMeter, like since you have more good knowledge on Selenium, I will be giving you a Selenium example. As I told you that if there is an application which requires some functionality validation, right? So either you do that manually, or if that is going to repeat in future, you write a Selenium script. In order to write Selenium script, you need a few knowledge on a Selenium. You need to know these steps, basically launch page. Okay, you launch the page. If you have to validate add to bag, okay, let's say this is add to bag. You launch the page, you log in into the system through a script, you search for a product, search product. Okay, so these are these steps. And then again, you have a step which is called add to bag, right? So this functionality you have to validate, but in order to just reach to this functionality, you need to go through these pages, okay? And you need scripting knowledge, Selenium scripting knowledge, so that you can just add, just click on a launch page button, and then input fields, username and password, then click on login, and then on input field you put some product by typing jeans or shirt or anything, and then you click on search button, okay, and then again you get that product add to bag. So scripting knowledge on Selenium is required. The similar thing we are going to do that in JMeter as well. We are going to build a test plan. What exactly building a test plan is, like we do in Selenium, we just create a script for each steps by doing specific things in order to get add to bag. We are doing the same thing here when I say creating a test plan. So there are two ways. Either you can build your test plan manually by just adding these pages by writing your script manually, or there are other tools available where you can just record the flow, and that will eventually generate a script for you. Okay, so simple. In case of JMeter, we have the similar thing. When we have to build a test plan, there are basically two approach. Either we build a test plan manually, like I have added a thread group, and then I have to add a sampler or HTTP request. Not to worry about that at this point of time. You might not be aware what these things are, but these are called elements. So JSR223 post processor is an element which plays a certain role at certain point of time. Okay, and this thread group is also an element which is used in order to generate load on the system. So we talked about these virtual users. So these users, so these are the users which are provided through this thread group. And in order to just navigate through the pages, let's say that I have to navigate different pages. I need to first launch the page, and then log in into the page, and then search page. So those navigations will be done through these HTTP requests. All right. So these are the elements, and not to just worry about the name script. Basically, in order to do these things in another tool like LoadRunner or NeoLoad, you basically need to write some code kind of thing. But here we are referring script to these elements itself. Okay, so this is simply a script we refer in JMeter, which looks like some element like HTTP request. This is an element. JSR223 post processor, it's an element. So this is what we are referring as a script. And once we are done with a script, we refer the whole as a test plan. So inside a test plan, I'm going to build a script. Now, there are two ways. Either I do it manually or I do it through a tool. Okay, so in order to just build a test plan quickly, I'm not going to get involved into manual steps, but I will be using a tool which is quite simple called JMeter. Okay, so this is a script recording tool. So using this tool, you can quickly generate your performance script for any application for any specific steps. So I have an application which is basically a more demo application, I would say, but this will give you a nice understanding on performance scripting and performance basically steps that how we build our performance test plan. So this is an application, teststore.octoperf.com. Okay, and what I have to do a performance test of this application. Okay, but in order to do performance test, I need some steps that I have to cover. Okay, so what are the steps I have to cover? I will first navigate through the steps. First is the launch the application itself. Then click on sign in, provide valid username and password, log in into the application. I'm already logged in because it says sign out. This indicates that I'm logged in into the application. Click on any category, let's say fish. Click on product ID, add to bag any of the add to cart any of the item. Okay, then proceed to checkout, and then continue to place order. You need not to provide any valid credit card, just click continue, and then final confirm. Okay, it says thank you, your order has been submitted. So I have successfully placed an order, and then finally sign out of the application. So these are the steps I'm going to have in my performance script, and for those pages, steps in the sense pages. So this is the launch page. So for that page, click on fish page and other pages. I'm going to include those pages in my performance testing scope, and I will be running more number of users hitting those pages. Basically, I will simulate more than one user, basically more number of users on those pages, on these pages that we have just navigated. And at that point of time, I will be looking at the behavior of my application. When I'm just clicking sign in, doing sign in, clicking on fish, the application just moves smoothly. But when we do it lot of users, at that point of time as well, my application is moving smoothly, or clicking on sign in takes a lot of time. What that happens, we will be just validating through this performance test. But do remember that I'm not going to generate high number of users on this application, because any application which is available for public is not going to be your performance candidate. You should not hit any public application with high number of users, because in this demo session I'm going to give you an overview that how you can hit your application with more number of users, and you should not arbitrarily just provide any n number of users and hit any application. You are not authorized for doing that. You are only authorized to do a performance testing that basically you own that website, or you are officially assigned as a performance engineer for that website. Okay, meanwhile I have a question. Seems my voice is breaking. Is it right now, or there was momentary? What about my audio quality right now? Okay, I think it's fine. Okay, good. Got a notification. Okay, let's move next. Building a test plan. So I have this website, and I need to create a test plan. As I told you, all the aspects are not possible to cover in this demo session, but this is going to be a quick demonstration that how we are going through this entire session. What are the things that we might be that we are going to cover throughout this session. So with that, let's start creating a performance test plan, basically creating a test plan. And for that, you need an extension which is called JMeter, which I have already installed in my system. Simply, you need to just go to the Chrome store and type JMeter, and then you can simply install this plugin, okay, JMeter plugin. If you do not have an account, just create a sign up or log in. If you already have, you can log in or just sign up for free. It's a free of cost. But I do have an account. I'm going to log in into my account. Okay. Okay, once you log in into your BlazeMeter account, now get back to, I'm just closing this tab. Now get back to BlazeMeter extension and it will now show you, hi, your name. Okay, means I'm now logged in into my BlazeMeter extension. In order to create a test plan through this BlazeMeter extension, do remember that there are other ways available in order to create a performance test plan, or basically building your script or recording your script. So this is more specific called script recording portion. Okay, there is an element available inside this JMeter as well, which is called HTTP script recorder. We will cover this script recorder as well during this session, but for quick and easy recording, I am just going through this BlazeMeter extension. So let's start with the recording. Simply, you need to type a test plan name. I would say this is demo 1. Okay. Just click start recording. There are advanced options as well, but you can leave it default for now. Click start recording. So this is the step name. So what step I'm going to record? So I'm going to record first the launch page. Add a step. Okay, which is okay. I need to just put enter here. So my launch page is going to be recorded, and in order to record inside my launch page, I need to just reload this launch page. Okay, so the things are recorded in launch page. The next is the sign in. Not to worry about these things in a quick manner, because this is going to be a demonstration. We will cover all these aspects in a detailed manner in this session. So sign in, add a step. Basically what we are going to do, we are making a step name that what exactly we are going to do. So in the next step, I'm going to sign in. That's the reason I just put sign in here. And I click sign in, or rather sign in, say sign in click. Okay. Sign in click. I'm going to sign in click. And then step would be sign in post. Post means I'm going to post username and password through sign in method. Okay, so here is the username. And click sign in, login. I'm logged into my system. The next is fish step. I'm doing it quickly. Select product. Add to cart. Okay, and the next is checkout. Proceed to checkout. Okay, and it's a payment continue. Okay, this payment continue, and then order confirm. Okay, thank you. Your order has been submitted. This indicates that I have successfully placed an order. And the final is sign out. So I have added a step sign out and now clicking sign out, which completes the steps recording, which completes the steps that I was about to record. And once you are done with the recording, all these steps are completed. You just click stop recording. Okay, once you click stop recording, that pop-ups goes away, but you click back on this extension, and here your recording is ready to download. So download the recording, just click on this. You can export in JMeter or JMX because I only need this JMX script. You can try this Selenium one if you want. Might be this will be helpful to you. Okay, so just click save, and this will export the JMX. Basically, the test plan holds an extension JMX, which is supported through this JMeter. So now we have this demo.jmx. There are two ways to open. You can simply drag it to JMeter, or the other way is to get into the file, open, and then navigate to download section where your downloads are. This demo one is downloaded. I will just drag it to JMeter. Once you drag a new test plan, it will ask you to save the previous one, but this is not required right now, so I will save no. Okay, so this is the one that I have recorded through this BlazeMeter. Okay, I recorded launch page, sign in, click, sign in post, fish, select product, add to bag, payment continue, and all those stuffs I have recorded. I have many hand raised. Shiven, do you have any question you can have? Snehal, you have any question? Okay, no problem. Shiven, do you have any question?
Yeah, so script will getting pulled here directly. I mean, sorry, I didn't understand. You were recording on the BlazeMeter, so those scripts
Yes.
are getting pulled here.
So I have downloaded
So
that
there
script,
is
right?
any so that script you have added. Once you download, then
yes. So you have downloaded that
how
script through here. Yes.
Okay.
So this extension, is inside this Chrome, and whatever activity we are doing in Chrome is getting recorded through this extension, and that generates a JMeter script. And now I have downloaded that script, which is inside my system now, inside downloads. I can simply drag it to my JMeter, or simply you can navigate to that script by just clicking on open and getting into the download section, which is demo one. You can simply open this way as well.
Okay.
Is
So
it clear?
here will all the script will be available. Okay, so then we can
Yes.
upload that. Okay, got it. Thank you. Thank you.
So
Thanks for
all
your
the
help.
things, yes, no problem. So all the things that we have recorded here for this JPET store are all things are recorded inside this. Okay, and basically inside this demo one test plan. Okay, and there are a few additional things added through this BlazeMeter extension, and not to worry about these things which has been added by default, but most of the things are not required right now. So I will just format this script in order to keep minimum things which will not generate confusion to you guys. But these things we have done manually throughout our recording. We clicked on launch page, and once we click launch page, this URL was generated, action/catalog.action. If you look back to this website, so this is the URL, action/catalog.action. So this is the URL, action/catalog.action, which is the URL of launch page, which is recorded inside my test plan or inside my script under the launch page transaction. So this is a transaction controller, and we'll get a clarification on transaction as well, what exactly transaction are. But just For now, just understand that a transaction is something which holds more than one pages or one page. Okay, if you look at the I think in my all transactions there are one pages, but there are situations where a sign-in might have a redirection, and that redirects to another page, and that page is responsible for signing. In that case, your sign-in transaction might have two pages. One is for redirection and another is the final login page. So a transaction can hold more than one pages. In my case, all my transactions have single page. Okay, so this launch page transaction has a single page which have a path action/catalog.action, and since we are using BlazeMeter extension, so few things have been modified, but not to confuse with that. You might be wondering what this base URL_1 is. So this is nothing but a variable, dollar curly braces and closing curly braces, and inside this syntax anything comes will be identified as a variable inside JMeter. So base_URL_1 is a variable which is used here inside user defined variable. So if you get back to this element user defined variable, so these things are automatically added by this BlazeMeter extension, not to worry about that. But if you look here, these are the path which is perfectly visible here, which seems valid on launch page, but this 8store.octoperf.com is something which we refer as host. Okay, so this is the host or server, and here server name or IP is basically the host or server. Rather than petstore.octoperf.com, there is a variable name which is called base_URL_1, which is getting resolved from here. Base_URL_1 is basically resolved to petstore.octoperf.com. The similar thing, right? So in total, if you get back to launch page, this is going to be resolved to petstore.octoperf.com like this, and this is going to be /action/catalog.action. So a complete URL would be something like this, which is the similar thing we have recorded, and the similar for sign-in. Do remember that manually creating these things will take a lot of effort. That's the reason we have different mechanisms to record our script. Okay, do I have something? Because I got some audio. Yeah, good question I have from Sika. Nice question. That can we edit the server detail in our test plan as per our testing environment? Exactly. The purpose of having this variable is exactly that you have pointed. A nice observation. In our validation, we have different environments. We have QA environments, we have regression environment, we have dev environment, and might be in some of the cases we need to run this validation or need to run this performance script against different environment. Might be I can point this to QA environment, I can point this to regression environment or dev environment. So rather than changing at the every step at every point, I simply can rename it here on a single shot, and that will be now pointing to different environment. Okay, so you can definitely do that, and this is the way we design our script, which would be easily maintainable. All right, so rather than just creating manually, we can create all these things manually as well. We have a transaction controller. You can add a transaction controller throughout this by adding section as well. You can have a page like this, HTTP request from this add sampler HTTP request. Okay, from controller, transaction controller, and other things like uniform random timer from timer add timer random timer. Is that constant timer, uniform random timer? Okay, so all the elements which has been just added through this BlazeMeter extension can be added manually as well, but that requires effort. So why to invest that effort manually rather than just using a tool which is already available. Okay, so that's the reason we save our effort by just recording a script, not to invest manual effort in that. But well, we have our script designed fully, which covers a lot of steps. Okay, quite well. Okay, now I can play back this script. But before playback, let's do some changes which are essentially not required at this point of time. What we can do, we can just disable this HTTP request default, not to worry about this. These have some advanced tabs which will be applicable on all these pages, and this might lead confusion to you guys at this moment. We'll get the concept on this HTTP request default in later session, but right now let be visible here. Cookie manager is required. Authorization manager is no more required because we are not dealing with any authorization. Cache manager is also not valuable in this case. Header manager is essential. Define variable is obviously essential because we need to hit this one. Cache manager, DNS cache manager, no more required. Okay, so cookie manager, user defined variable. Let's drag it to here so that all the required things are aligned. Okay, single place, and all these disable steps. So quite simple it is. If any element is not required, you can simply right click and enable disable that element. If this is not required, you can right click disable it. So once you disable it, it will no longer be active element and will not play any part during your runtime or during your playback. Since it is required, I'm enabling it. Again, if you find anything which has been recorded which is not essential, you can just right click, disable that. So simple it is. That's the simplicity JMeter provides in order to maintaining and creating a script. I found it more helpful, and I really love using JMeter. Well, in order to just play this script back, I'm going to add a listener. Right click on thread group, add. At the bottom into listener, view results tree. So this is the listener. What exactly listener is? As I told you, here we are having a number of users hitting this add to back functionality, and we need to know that how much time these pages are taking, 5 seconds, 10 seconds, or 1 minute. So these times, basically these numbers, 5 seconds, 10 seconds, and how many users are running. My server is returning me 200 okay, or it's 500 bad, 500 server error, or 404 not found, or any kind of error. All those things will be available inside listener. So unless you add a listener, you will not be having an idea what is going inside your playback. Basically, this gives you a result of the run, that what is happening, how many users are running, what is the response time of each these pages, and again, is there any error, how many number of requests we are making to the server, and a lot of details are available inside these listeners. So there are different listeners as well, which we add as per the need, but the most frequent used are view results tree, summary report, and aggregate report. Apart from that, there are different graph listeners available, but not to worry about that. And you might not get these elements in your JMeter because these are the plugins elements, but not to worry about that. We will be adding these elements through the plugin manager too. Okay, but what things we have used here are the basic elements, which does not require any plugin or extra support through plugin manager. Now I have added a view results tree. Before running it, I will simply do a quick modification that generate parent sample, which will make you easy to understand this playback more easily. Okay, for all transactions. Okay, I got an echo. Do we have any question?
Rahul, I have a question.
Yes.
Since I am audible, right?
Yes, you are.
So my question is that the first part, like HTTP header manager and user defined variables, all the things will generate while we are recording, or do we need to add externally all these things?
So if you record through this BlazeMeter extension, all these things will be auto-generated. Since I have simply just opened that recorded script and I found these things available inside that recording. So you will be getting all these things by default.
Okay, fine, thank you.
Yeah, so once we just get familiar with all these elements, we can decide that what things are basically required for us during our performance testing. But these kind of tools which generate scripts for us do a favor for us, and they add little help by just adding these things additionally to make these scripts easy, so that you might need not these things in some specific cases, but these are the default things which are added by this BlazeMeter extension. All right, so I have included this generate parent sample and simply go for a playback. Just simply run it, but I would say that start no pause. And what this is, there you will notice that we have some uniform random timer here. Okay, so these timers will add time, and just go disable it. Okay, I do not want a delay in my script, so all the random timers should be disabled so that my script will quickly get out of start to end. Okay, disable it because it will take 6 seconds around. Since we do not have idea on random timers right now, I'm not going to get involved in that section on timers, because that has a separate session what exactly timers are and how they play a role in our performance testing script. But for now, I'm just going to disable it. Now get back to view results tree and you get all the details here on the right pan. Once you click start, you will be getting all the okay, playback summary here. Okay, that's good. So my script sorry, playback is completed and you see all green. This means that my script playback was successful, and my launch page is here, which hits this, gets response back like this. Okay, we have responses back. My click sign in is here where we are getting response. My sign in post is here where we are getting response, click fish, and all these things. So these responses are in pure HTML form. You can change the view, this HTML to a visible HTML, basically from text to HTML. You can change the view, and once you click on HTML, now let's back to launch page. You see some sign in button which indicates that this is a launch page and asking me to sign in. Sorry. And this has some categories as well. Again, once we click sign in, it gives me a username and password button, which is quite good. That indicates that we are moving through the pages. And once we sign in, it says welcome ABC. It's basically this user holds a name ABC. Getting back to the actual application. So once you sign in, it says welcome ABC. Oh, so similar thing is happening inside my script as well. I can see this through this view results tree, and clicking on the actual page on which I want to see, it says welcome ABC. This means that my playback is going well and my script is perfectly working fine. Once I click on fish, it gives me a different categories, and once I click select fish, it gives me a different product ID of that category. And again, shopping cart, and then checkout, good, and then payment continue, okay, and then on confirm order, it gives me thank you, your order has been submitted, which is quite good. And then on sign out, so this is the page where I am signing, and it's asking me to, you can just sign out as well. But once I'm on sign out, it's asking me to sign in, which indicates that you are not signed in yet, and you need to sign in because I have signed out of my application. Okay, so this indicates that my script is working fine, which I have just recorded, and I can play this script back. But this is not the end of script maintenance or end of scripting part, because this is just a fresh recorded script. And in order to build your script more meaningful, you need much modification in this script. As I told you, I have just building JMeter performance script. So basically, I have just recorded a script inside this building JMeter performance script. It covers more aspects, but I have just recorded a script, right? Recorded a script. But apart from that, there are many things to be changed in this script. First, that for how many users I need to run. I need to run it for 10 users. Then what is ramp up? What is 10-second ramp up? What is infinite loop count? Basically, if I do it infinite loop count, my users will be running infinitely with basically 10 users will be running in an infinite loop unless I stop it manually. Okay, either I can specify a duration that my 10 users will be running for basically 300 seconds, which is 5 minutes duration. So my 10 users will be running I'm sorry, my 10 users will be hitting those pages for 5-minute duration continuous. So one users will be hitting launch page, sign in page, and repeating from launch to sign out, and then launch to sign out, and this process will go for 5 minutes duration. And the similar thing, the parallel 10 users will be doing this process for 10 minutes. So this comes under scenario part. Again, we have a correlation concept which has to be applied on this script. As I told you, for demonstration and to make you understand more easily, I have picked this demo website, which has a scope of correlation, but on my playback, everything was gone smooth and gone well. But in most of the cases, you will not find such a smooth working script. You might need a correlation concept, and the correlation should be applied on this script as well. Here, if you look at the launch page, better to sign in page, sign in post page, you have some token kind of things, source page and underscore FP, which basically have a different value for each session. Okay? During our recording time for that session, this value was valid, basically underscore FP, this token was valid, and I would simply refer this as a token for now. This is not exactly the token, but let's say it's as a token, because a token is a kind of thing we simply refer that is a one-time valid thing. But this was valid at that point of time, and in a website where you are recording a script, might be your playback will not actually perform so smooth, and you will not get everything green and working expected, because you might need a correlation concept and correlation to be applied on your script. Again, in order to log in with different users, since here we have logged in with only J2EE, there might be different 100 users through which I need to log in. Okay, it's not recommended to just run it with 10 virtual users or run it with many virtual users and share those virtual users a single user ID. Okay, if I say that, hey, user one and all these users too, you should share only user ID and password J2E and J2EE, which is not a valid case that all users will be using same user ID and password. There must be different user ID and password, which all users should have their own. A different unique IDs should belongs to each user. So in that case, data-driven testing concept comes into picture. Data-driven testing, or we say it parameterized testing. Okay, parameterization. So that comes into picture, that how you need to parameterize this username and password kind of things, so that each different users will be picking different user and password. Again, I'm sorry, it's not only bounded that you click on fish every time. You may click on dog, cat, so different user can perform different activities, right? They can click on dogs as well. Once they click on dog, they are free to choose any of the item. Okay, it's not only hard coded that every time I click on fish and select a specific product, or every time I click on a dog or select a specific product. So all these things can be achieved through data driven testing. Different users logging with different account, clicking on different products, different categories, selecting random categories, and all those different things would be achieved through data driven testing. And how to convert these script, simplest script in a data driven testing is a topic to learn. Again, few other things might be your script is not working properly or during your playback. So what are the things that you need to require? Learning about cookie manager, a few header manager concepts, and different things. So debugging a script, recording a script, understanding, debugging, all these things will be covered and have to cover. It's a separate topic to discuss. But again, I have a view results tree. Just give me a minute. Meanwhile, I have few questions I need to take. Okay, so there is a nice question from Pradeep that how can we do the same for mobile testing? It's a nice thing. So what happens basically, if you navigate this website through a mobile version, is it the question? I think I got your question correctly, that you want to perform all these things on your mobile, right? So there is not very much difference performing these steps or navigating this website on mobile or on Windows PC or any desktop version. The if you are aware about the user agent, if you get back to the header manager and if you look at the user agent, so this is a user agent being passed. Okay, so this is the user agent which tells the server that the request is coming from desktop, from Chrome 86. Okay, and if you're in a website support mobile version, the responses delivered to the client will be based on this user agent. Okay, so simply what you can do, you can just record the script on a desktop version, doesn't matter, and you can change the user agent to a mobile user agent. Okay, in this case, once you get the launch page, you hit the launch page, your header manager, inside header manager, user agent will be passed as per your mobile, let's say Samsung Galaxy. Okay, so your server will identify the client as a Samsung Galaxy, and rather than serving this page, the page will be served as a mobile version of Samsung Galaxy. Again, it's a concept of an user agent, just to you can say, just to let your server know that what client has requested the page, and the response or the page will be served as per the user agent provided in the header manager. Again, there is another way to just record on the mobile itself. You can just set up this it's a JMeter by just connecting to a single Wi-Fi your mobile and your JMeter, and you need to configure the proxy of your system into your mobile, and you can directly navigate this website through the mobile, and all the actions will be recorded inside your JMeter. So that's a separate discussion, but there are possibilities to just load the mobile version or just to do a performance test on the mobile version of your application. That can be done. So there is question that can we able to see the UI part while playing the recording? So no, there is no such UI part kind of thing in JMeter. You cannot see the UI part during the recording, during the playback, while playing the recording. Yeah, so you cannot see the UI part during the playback, but after the playback completes, you can just get to the pages and you can see a overview of HTML, that what has happened to that page, on that page, like on sign in, what has happened. Basically, it's a page which asks me username and password, and once I signed in, it's a page where I signed in, and there are a lot of categories I can click on. There is no such UI to see during playback. Again, okay, so there is a question from Namrata. I think it's a nice question. That yes, exactly. So the question is something like, we have 10 users here, and a few of the users are going for shopping for fish, and few of the users are going for shopping for other categories. So can that be done inside this script? Yes, definitely that can be done inside this script itself. But that script will require few changes in order to get into a data-driven category. You need to just use these different categories inside a file, where you can just point your users that what category to use. Okay, so you can randomize that file. You can let your user freely choose the file, the category from the file. And once the user get into the system, it will look for the category available, and it can randomly pick any of the category, rather than fish, cat, dogs, reptile, birds, and etc. Okay, so there is another question from Pradeep. Can we check the same for different calls like CSS, JS used on front end? No, basically when we are dealing with performance testing and through the JMeter, we are not dealing with JavaScript and CSS, because JMeter is not a complete browser. It's a performance testing tool which generates loads, and it has nothing to do with JavaScript and CSS. If you include JavaScript and CSS inside your transaction as a page, that will be a single response, single request and response coming to the JMeter. But like browser behaves with JavaScript and CSS, so we have a browser which gets a JavaScript, so that is parsed. We have a CSS which is being applied on the content, but JMeter is not going to behave in that way, because JMeter is not going to parse a JavaScript or a render CSS or any kind of things. What about stress testing using JMeter? Yes, we are going to do stress testing using JMeter. That's nothing separate thing that cannot be done using JMeter. Basically, you need to understand about the performance testing type, like load testing, stress testing, endurance, spike, and different kind of testing. Once you understand the different kind of testing, basically you design your scenario. So we say it's scenario. So you only need to know that how to design a scenario for stress testing, and the similar test plan you can convert it into load testing, stress testing, endurance testing, spike testing, or any kind of testing which is applicable for performance. That doesn't matter. You only need to understand that how to create a scenario for load testing or in the stress or endurance and spike. That scenario creation we are going to deal into detail manner. So there is a question from Manish that up to how many users we can run the script for concurrent simulation user, and how do you simulate other infra requirement? That's a nice question, and I think that that's a big discussion that requires a big discussion as well. But for a high level, first you need to know the uses of your application. Okay, that what is the concurrency of your application currently is. If the application is already up and running in production, you can get the actual live production uses of a week or month, and you can look at the pattern that what is the maximum number of users being which is actively using during the peak time of your application, or what is the maximum number of hits per second which is being served by your application. If your application is already up and running, if your application is going live first time, you can seek help from the developer or the architect team, who they might be in a position to answer for such questions, that what are the expected number of concurrent users going to be handled by this application. Being a performance testing engineer, you are not going to be a concerned person of who are going to decide on the number of users, because these comes under the architect and senior developers, or not the developers but the business part. But you always need to ask about the number of concurrency and the users load about your application, and as per the requirement and as per the usage, you need to just simulate your load. Okay, again, it comes to infra. If your application is going to handle that number of users, the infra must be already decided by the architect and the management team itself. Okay, but you can just check out the behavior of the application, that once the application up and running on that infra, is it going to handle that user or not? Because all those things, handle number of users and handle number of loads, are basically assumption that my application is going to sustain that number of user, but that actually is going to sustain or not, you are the responsible for that validation. Okay, any other question that I have? I think no, but your questions are welcomed. You can just keep me posting questions, or just have your question by just talking to me. It's not a problem. Since this was a maximum 2 hour of session planned for 10 to 12, but I think we have already covered most of the things, and few things which is a question and answer part, which we are continuous going with parallel of this question and answer part. But generating a HTML report, running a performance test, we have already done. But in order to generate a HTML report, since being a demonstration, I can quickly do that as well. That's not a problem. What you can do, but at this point of time, it's not making more sense to make things in hurry. But if you want, first I will look for the questions, because that really matters. So if your questions are coming, that's a welcome. Otherwise, I will go for this HTML report generation part. But being a demonstration, you can have any of the questions that you have in your mind. Okay, because it's more about question and answer, not about the things that we are going to learn, because in a day we are not going to gain a lot of things, but this is just a demonstration that how we are going to achieve these things in our upcoming sessions. Well, so quick report generation part. It is not recommended to use view results tree during your load testing, because this results tree includes a lot of responses and a lot of things which consumes resources on your system, and sometimes it is not recommended if you are running heavy load on your system. This will include extra overhead to your system. So other reports which are recommended to use, like summary report or aggregate report, these are the quite light reports, and that gives you a nice overview of testing what is going on. So for demonstration, I'm just going to run it for 2 users for 10 iterations. So what this means is basically not 3, sorry, this is a ramp up. Make it ramp up, and for loop count 10. So I'm going to run for 2 users, loop count 10. Basically, if you make it 1 user, let's understand that how it's going to work. So 1 user will be repeating from launch to sign out 10 times. Okay, so the user 1 comes, hit launch, sign in, comes to sign out, and it's complete iteration 1. The similar thing it is going to do 10 times. Again, if I make it 2, so there would be 2 parallel users doing same things 10 times. Simple. And I will be having a result here in summary report, and I can write this report. Okay, I can write this report inside JMeter, and with the name like demo report.jtl. So JTL is Java text doc, is an extension. You can generate your report. Not to worry about that. You can write your report in TXT as well, or CSV as well. That would be more better. I have just chose JTL. One thing I'm going to do here in order to simplify this HTML report is to save subsampler untick. Done it. Save this test plan and clear this result by just clearing this clear button. So this is the clear button which will clear the result, previous result. All right. Now I'm going to run it for 2 users 10 times. Okay, let's run it. Once you start your test, you will see the progress. It has been 6 seconds and 2 users are running here. In between, if you want, you can stop your test at any point of time, either stop or stop all, shut down. Oh, there's a slight difference. But here's the important thing, that it has been elapsed 23 seconds till my test is running and 2 users are actively running. Get back to this summary report, which will give you a summary of the things like my launch page has completed 18 times and my fish, basically all my 18, 19, 20 iterations are going to complete. That's nice. My test has been completed since my start is now enabled and its stop is got disabled. It has been completed in 39 seconds. So it took for 2 users to complete 10 iterations 39 seconds. Obviously that depends on the responsiveness of the website as well. Okay, here we have the summary. For launch page we have completed 20 iterations with the average 377 milliseconds. So all these numbers are in millisecond. Okay, there was no such error. Okay, so error is 0% and seems everything is quite okay. We have a throughput of 33 per minute. Basically throughput is the number of requests we have made in a minute time. So we have made 33 requests in a minute time for launch page, and around a total of 5 requests per second, including all these pages to this website. Okay, so we have made 5 requests per second. Okay, so that's complete our run, but there are a lot of to understand about the standard deviation, minimum, maximum, average, how this is calculated, and all those stuffs. But that requires obviously some extra sessions. But here is the important part. In order to generate your HTML report, we have a JTL written here. Okay, if we get back to this file, you would see that there is a file generated which is called demo report.jtl, a similar file at this path, demo report.jtl. Now in order to generate report, what we can do, basically we can create a new folder and we will say a report. Okay, at this path. Okay, again it requires a few other things, but in options, rather than options, get into tool, and there is a generate HTML report option. Okay, earlier this option was not available in graphical user interface and the report generation was done through command line, but this is available in GUI and inside tool options. A result file or the CSV, browse to your CSV. Okay, so here we have been Apache JMeter 5.3 and there is a demo report.jtl. So this is the JTL I have browsed. User.properties, not to worry about. Inside JMeter, inside bin, you have a user.properties. Open it and the output directory. So I have just created a folder which is called report, which is called where is that? Inside Apache JMeter, this is a report. So this is my output directory and simply click generate report. It will give you a generating report, and that's where we go. We have a report created. That's good. Get back to that folder inside report and we have index.html. Okay, right click and just open it, Google Chrome or any browser you need. Okay, here we have summary report. That's some AppDex kind of thing. You need a bit knowledge on this AppDex, but now it's come to the summary report. Here we have all these pages: add to bag, checkout, fish. So the similar kind of thing that we have seen here in summary report, right? But again, it has more things like charts over time. So these are the things that shows that how was my response time over time. I would say that there are some additional setting required in order to make this graph beautiful. In user.properties, there is an option called granularity. So granularity is something, here we have a granularity of 1 minute. And since my test was completed within a minute, that's the reason it gives me a single sample. But if you regenerate this report by changing the granularity to 5 seconds or let's say 10 seconds, then it will be giving you more meaningful and a trend that how this graph actually looks like. But let's talk about the features that we are getting, that we are having a lot of information here, like response time over time, active threads over time, how many threads we're running. Basically, we were running only 2 threads. And if my test was running, let's say, for longer duration, for 5 minutes, 10 minutes time, then this graph will give you a trend kind of thing, which will be more meaningful. Okay, but for just for demonstration, let's assume that these are the things that we are having inside this HTML report: connect time over time, latencies over time, and inside throughput, hits per second, and codes per second. What are the different codes we are getting? Either it's 200 or 400 or 500 kind of things. Since, as I told you, that my test duration was very short, that's the reason we are not getting a lot of details here. But if we ran it for more than a minute at least, we must be having different other details as well. Okay, that's a pretty defined coverage that we have done on these topics. I think that that we have covered what things that we have mentioned here. Apart from that, we have gone through some questions and answer. But still, if you guys have any question, just we have 5 more minutes for your question and answer. Again, there are other options available to you for your questions. Is the email address, so you can have your questions as well. And one more communication I would like to just forward to you, that this is going to be a batch. So the next batch is going to be start on coming Saturday at 10 a.m. So at the same time, so today we started at 10 a.m. and this batch is going to start from coming Saturday at 10 a.m. So anything regarding this course, regarding batch, fee related queries, you can directly get back to Raman. You can have your questions, calls, and the communication way you have with Raman, you can get back to him for any question and clarification on batch and fee and all those steps. For course content regarding the topics that we have covered, or any JMeter related queries, you can get back to me on this JMeter LED to automation email address, and your questions are welcome. Okay, so there is a question that what is the duration of this course? So this is going to be 10 days around. So it's going to be 10 days duration course, and this will happen on each Saturday and Sunday around 1.5 to 2 hours. Okay, and yes, so it is going to take 10 days, including Saturday and Sundays. Okay, so there is a question. Let me stop the recording because we are done with this part, and we have few questions on fee structures and kind of thing, which for fee, as I told you, that for fee structure and all those and course related things, you can refer back to Raman. So